Good morning, good afternoon, whatever you are. Good Morgen and Guten Tag. Is that what it says in German? We have a special guest with us here all the way from Germany, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from her in case you are planning to do business with Germany, with German-speaking people, and anyone related to Germany. As you know, we all are the same, but we do things differently. In our show, we get you as close as possible to cultures and other subjects related to culture and doing business around the world. I am your host, Mona Lou with Mona Lou International and the American Institute of Global Protocol and Culture. Welcome to the show, Dr. Beier. Is that correct?
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Good morning.
Guten Morgen.
Good morning, right? Good morning.
Yes. Well, in fact, it's afternoon here, but I know it's morning in the US. So
yes. I did study German in college, and beside Good Morgen, Guten Tag, sprechen Sie Deutsch? That's all I can remember. So if our viewer don't sprechen Sie Deutsch, don't worry, we got you covered. We are speaking English.
I speak English, yes, I do.
You can understand. Welcome to the show, and I am so glad that you accepted to come with us here in short notice. Tell us about you, Dr. Claudia Beier.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, Mona. It's such a pleasure to be with you. And my name is Claudia Beier, as you have said. I'm an intercultural trainer, and I'm also a foreign language teacher. In fact, I studied English and Spanish many years ago. And I lived in the US and in Spain. I have a teacher training as an intercultural trainer. And also I did my doctoral thesis. This is where I started going more into details with intercultural understanding and communication. So I wrote my doctoral thesis on conflicts of Cuban Americans in the US. The second generation and their conflicts and like their value conflicts that they experience. So, and later on I did intercultural training. I taught at universities, and here I am, and I consult professionals about Germany.
Very good. Well, we are within the same realm of intercultural education and training, consulting, coaching, and speaking. Now, I just want to hear a little bit of German this morning. If you can go ahead and tell me, good morning, happy to be here. We will have a great time today. Whatever you want to say in German. That way we can get people closer to Germany as much as possible. Go ahead and say that in German, please.
Sure. Also, guten Morgen. Mein Name ist Claudia und ich freue mich sehr, hier zu sein und ja, dieses Gespräch mit dir zu führen, Mona.
Okay, I understood.
You did understand that.
I understood everything. Perfect. Okay, we'll go on to the show, and we'll start with first of all, something came to mind before we came on here is just clarification. A lot of people confuse Dutch and Deutsch. Okay, because we want to make sure that whoever is listening to us and watching us, Dutch refers to people from England. There's a difference between Deutsch and Dutch. Yes. Dutch is always referring to Netherlands. Holland, we call it Netherlands. Holland, Low Country as well. It's known in English as well with that term. People from Holland, Netherlands are referred to as Dutch. However, or maybe sometimes Dutch is referred to some people from Belgium, the ones that speak the same language as Dutch. In Belgium, yes, in Belgium. And then Deutsch is more of Germany.
Deutsch is it's not completely different. It's related. So the language itself is related to Dutch. Yes. In fact, we can understand each other most of the time.
Okay.
And many people in the Netherlands also speak German. However, in Germany, not many people speak Dutch. We are the bigger country, even though we are a very small country, but the Netherlands is still smaller. So, and they are a neighboring country.
Yes, yes, I do understand. Yeah, go ahead, please. Keep going if you were going to say something. Yeah.
Yes, so Germany is also, as the Netherlands, located in the center of Europe. We are bigger, and we have like about 90 million inhabitants. And as I said, the Netherlands is a neighboring country, also Belgium, France, Switzerland, Austria, and in the north also Denmark. So we have many different neighbors. So we are like in the center of many different countries, which all speak different languages. Of course, Austria, Switzerland, they speak Dutch, but it's a different variation. It's like a dialect, one could say.
So Switzerland and Belgium, they do speak Dutch, right?
The Swiss, they don't speak Dutch. They speak French, they speak German, and Italian also.
Okay.
Switzerland is close to Italy.
Okay, and I do know.
It's confusing about all these languages.
I know. When you get to talk about these countries one next to each other, and they were mostly part of the Roman Empire, and the division started at a certain point. And I do know from history that that Netherlands was formed back in the 16th century, if I'm not mistaken, and Germany, as we know it today, it happened in 1866 or 1871, around that range. And the difference also is because there was obviously political differences and also religious, where Germany mostly followed the Martin Lutheran
the
thought,
Lutheran
and the other one is Calvinist, right? Netherlands is Calvinist, and each one of them followed the writing of the Bible that person, the founder, was speaking, I believe, and that's how the difference came about. But pretty much they were part of the Roman Empire.
Yes, exactly. And this is why also we have so many Latin words still in our languages, in all of the languages. And when you go to Spain, further south, and Italy, so they speak languages that are very much related or come from Latin, and they are even more closely related or closer related than German.
Very good.
So this is why there's a variety of different languages here in Europe, and we all have to study these languages, I should say. So it's compulsory for German students usually to study at least 1 or 2 second languages, and the major language, of course, is English. Yes. So most German people speak English quite well.
Excellent. So let's dive into Germany now, and let's dive into the German culture, because we want to do business with Germany. We want to do business. We want to do good business with the German, and we do want to come across as professional and someone or people who know the culture very well. So this is all yours, Dr. Beier. You tell us. We want to walk the people listening to us or watching us. We want to walk them through a simple process. Let's say, for example, I have a German prospect. What
you mean a leaflet, like a brochure?
What's that?
You mean a brochure or a leaflet?
No, a prospect, which means potential client, potential customer. Yes. Let's say I have potential customer from Germany, and I don't know how to proceed to take both of us from the start until the end of the transaction, the sale, the contract, whatever it is. Please walk us through that process, as far as communication, as far as etiquette, as far as any particular protocol that we need to follow, It's all yours.
Okay. Well, I'll try to do that. So, first of all, one should know that our cultures, so the US American culture and the German culture, are not so completely different as when you go, for example, to India or to any other Asian culture. So there are many similarities at the first glance. So we look alike. Basically, we are Western cultures with basically similar attitudes, behavior. And this is, I think, where misunderstanding often occurs, because we assume that we are more or less alike, living also in a global world nowadays, and overlook the details. And as when we for example have our customer here, I don't think the steps vary so much, because you contact each other. Someone needs an offer, then you get the offer. But what is maybe a little bit different is the way of communication. So Germans tend to be very direct in their communication, and they do not tend to waste a lot of time with small talk. So when you get, for example, an email or talk to someone on the phone, they might come across as kind of direct, maybe not very polite, according maybe to American standards. They are very straightforward, to the point. As I said, they don't waste time with a lot of small talk. And this, from what I know and what I experience, is much different with Americans. They often are very enthusiastic in their way of speaking. What Germans want to know is, they want to know the facts. They want quotations, they want prices, they want, for example, to know what products can do for them. And this is how you can make us happy, I think. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just rephrase this in a way that we can elaborate on it a little bit more. Basically, the steps are similar. Do we have to take time to build relationship, or is not necessary, or it depends on the product or services we offer?
That, of course, depends on the product and on the services. If you want to, for example, go to Germany and establish here a company, or buy maybe some smaller company or anything, then you need to establish relationships. And this is where Germans might need some more time. So here you have to come across as a reliable person, and they want to see that you're professional. And when you sell something, that doesn't matter so much. For example, when you sell products online, or when you just have customer relations and sell products, there it's important for us. And I don't think that is so much different from Americans. They want to know if there's a good service, if you can rely on the company, and they want to know the details about everything. If something is proven, if there's research behind something. For example, we always like something that has it's based on empirical research.
Okay.
So the figures, that convinces us. So
okay, so from what from what we are hearing, it depends on the product, depends on what is it that you're offering. The bigger it is, the more time it will take to establish a relationship. Obviously, come with facts, with the results, why they need, or they want, or they should buy this service or this product, and back it up with evidence, back it up with facts, which is pretty normal, pretty fair, everywhere we go. Yes, everywhere we go. Now, as far as
what might be sorry to interrupt you, what might be where the misunderstanding might occur is when you go more into deeper relationships. And when you work together with Germans, or when you establish relationships because you want to buy, for example, a company or a branch or anything. And here there is a difference because Americans tend to have or extend their professional sphere. I put it the other way around. In their professional behavior, they tend to, from the German point of view, be more friendly than we Germans are. So, for example, even though they don't have or they haven't known you for a long time, they might invite you to their homes or offer you that you take their cars and things like that. Are very friendly, and Germans, because they reserve things like that for their closer friends and need more time to establish friendships, might be confused, or also might think that they now have an American friend, but then later on it turns out that the relationship is still in the professional sphere. And this is why Germans often think that Americans are superficial, which is because it's, there's a great misunderstanding. And I've heard this so often from Germans.
Yes.
But it's just another way of communication, because as Americans, they move around all the time. They have a different and more natural way maybe of approaching strangers. They are more used to that also because they like moving and changing places. Or so you're so familiar with that. And that's more natural to them. And they are also more how can I say that, more open to making friends instantly. But then also more likely, or maybe not likely, but more apt to leave them also behind. And even in professional relationships, they seem to us like friends, but it's just a different behavior.
I see.
So it's the professional sphere is larger. It's more related to privacy, and here in Germany, we are more privacy. We keep our privacy, and we wouldn't offer business people that we have known or we haven't known for a long time. We wouldn't offer them a car or maybe homes that we use for vacation or things like that. And things like that happen more often. Yeah. And I also have made this experience when I lived in the US. I was given the telephone number by people that were very nice to me. We had nice conversations. They offered me the telephone number, and I wanted to make friends, and I called them, and then after a week or so, they didn't know anymore. They had forgotten me. And I thought my German viewpoint was, oh no, how can this be?
Okay, so basically, Germans are more reserved in their way or their approach on how to establish a relationship, and any warmth or friendliness or any affection or anything like that will be put aside to when we have a much more closer relationship than just at large. Hi, how are you? So you're telling me now here's the thing, Claudia, let me ask you. So you're telling me if I'm calling German potential client or a customer or prospect, and I say, here's my way. Good morning. How are you? How is your day going? How's the family? How is is that something I cannot do?
Well, if you know this person for a longer time, you can do that, but you wouldn't do it for someone you don't know, of course.
So just at first, just state my name, say why I am calling.
Yes,
okay, the reason of my call, and that's pretty much it, and get to the subject quick. And after that, if I am rejected, which is okay, if they say no, do I follow up? Or
you can do follow up. You can say, well, if you have maybe changed your mind, I would like to leave my contact details and things like that. They wouldn't mind. And people here in Germany, probably in the US as well, we pretty much know if we want to waste our time with something or not. but we appreciate small talk like that when we know each other a little bit better, of course.
Okay. Okay.
But in the way you did it, that would come across in Germany as too enthusiastic.
Okay. Too enthusiastic. So right away I am rejected. Is that what you're telling me?
We would maybe approach it as, but what the heck does she want from me?
So you become, okay, let's put it this way, you become suspicious. Is that what it is?
Yes, exactly.
Suspicious.
Yeah,
okay.
Am I here on an American morning show, or what's going on?
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, let's talk about risk. Do they take risk in Germany? Like, let's say I approach someone and say, hey, this idea sounds like really good idea. Let's try it together. Let's create a venture and put a partnership.
Okay.
And do it. Do they take that risk, or they have to take time to study the case,
yes,
to see if it's going to work or not? How long does it usually take?
Of course, there are many entrepreneurs here in Germany, and also startups and many different. And people lately have been discovered also like establishing companies online. But what, from my point of view, is different is that we really need to study, to have a training, to build up our credentials. Can you say that?
Yeah, so build your credentials.
Really, and before we start something, we like do one training, then we do another training, and then we still feel, I'm not ready for this, I cannot do this.
So there is procrastination in the process. And
yes, but because we feel maybe there's like this there's this modern word now that we have this feeling that we are not ready, that we have doubts about our own
okay
our own, what we can do, what we can offer. So it probably takes longer time, and Americans tend to be more go ahead and try something, and if they don't, if they fail or if it doesn't work out, they try another one. Yes,
I see.
And as I said, we need like certificates also on the websites, and when you do websites, when you do like also LinkedIn, these things, you always have to upload certificates about anything that you have.
Oh wow.
And we look so we look at, oh, is this person really trained for what I'm looking for, and can she like help me? And this is very important here. Also the titles and positions that you have here.
Titles and positions are very important. Do we
dress? That's also a good point. And you asked you have asked me before, but you do this as well. But sometimes people forget. So when someone has a title, like professor or something, then you should use this. And that's what people here in Germany are really appreciate. Yes.
Okay.
And I have seen that especially in written communication, like the titles always are matched with the last name. But this is not so much the case with Americans. It's more with like people from India or Asia. It's very cute, but they say Dr. Claudia, so they use the first name.
Okay, so when we address Germans, we like doctor, whatever title, whatever professional title do they have. If not, then it will be Mr. and Mrs. last name. That's how they should be addressed throughout the time, whether be it written communication or verbal communication will be the same case until you build a relationship. Now, at what point do you feel like you have a relationship going and you can relax a little bit? You can relax the standards, meaning you will call the person by their first name and joke with them and all that stuff. At what point that starts?
You will notice, because I think you will notice in the tone when Germans get a little bit more relaxed when they ask themselves questions, when they joke around, when they understand ironic remarks. In the first place, I wouldn't use irony or too much humor when you get to know a person, and just be I've noticed this myself with many of my country fellows. So in the first place, using irony and humor might be tricky because sometimes people don't understand, and especially American humor, you like using very much and like exaggerations. And but when you notice that you're on the same communication level, that often happens. It doesn't take that long. It often happens quickly. It's more quickly than it used to be because of global business of the internet. Also, many Germans now have business contacts worldwide, of course, and also even the younger people. Then you will notice, and then maybe they offer you also, well, you can call me by my first name, or they will use it. But in business, if you have not met the person personally, you usually use the last name.
Okay. Will it be appropriate if I ask them, how would you like to be addressed before I
sure.
even how would you like to be addressed? What's your preference in communication? So on, is it okay to ask?
Sure. Yeah, that's the first advice I would give anyone, to ask. If you're unsure, you always can ask, and that's of course the basic strategy in intercultural communication. That whenever you're unsure, you do not know how to behave, that's perfect to ask people. And Germans don't mind because we are so direct and want to have a clear conversation and prefer clarity. We appreciate people questioning, and that shows interest, that shows empathy, that shows also that you're aware of cultural differences. And then people really are often very helpful and really like giving advice, and also maybe that makes them that also shows them that they are also behaving differently, because usually this is also the case which I have experienced with Germans. Even though we travel so much, often people here in Germany, and I think this is why we are trapped in our own culture and often are not aware that others are different. And once someone addresses them and asks questions, then you have can establish a relationship also. That's perfect.
I see.
I hope.
No, I'm following you, and you're giving us a lot of good guidance. And the next thing that I was thinking about, let's say, for example, if I meet someone online, like yourself, for example, which we met online, and approach them or solicit their business or something, what's the first line I should use? Like, do I say, hi, I came across your profile and it looks interesting, and I would like to do this, do that, and be as clear as possible to what is it that I am trying to do, right? And go from there, wait for a response. If we don't receive a response, do we send another message to remind them? Yeah, good.
Yeah, so if you like, nowadays everybody is so gets so many messages, but as you said, the first step also would be like you introduce yourself, and then you also tell someone where you found information about them. Then you say why you contacted a person, and then you can offer something. And also a nice phrase how you that you would like to establish business contact, or waiting, or would appreciate information. So the steps are not so different, I think, at least not in written communication. And whenever you don't get an answer, I always would suggest a follow-up after a few days. So should wait.
Okay, let's talk about this directness. When you say Germans are direct, and I know for a fact they're direct, sometimes because I worked with Germans, and sometimes if we're not accustomed to that directness, to that direct style of communication, sometimes we may get offended.
Yes.
Because when they like it, they like it. When they don't like it, they don't like it, and they will tell you just the way it is. Not so much in finding the right the right words or being diplomatic about it, and before they release that. How would we, when is direct becomes rude?
Yes.
I mean, this is something we need to. When is direct? Is there a line between the direct
Yes.
and being rude? When do we make the difference?
First of all, even in Germany, directness does not mean being impolite or being rude. So when I mean Germans are direct, they always try, at least in business and at least when you're a nice person, you always try to bring across your information in an unemotional tone of voice. You say it a nice word, but you bring across the criticism. So when, for example, some work or project has not worked out well, so you give suggestions, you say what you didn't like. In this respect, it might be different from other cultures where you just, for example, say, okay, that was a good start. And then you have to work on this. Of course, and when I say directness, let's say, for example, there's directness and indirectness. And there's the scale from 1 to 10. And Germans are on this scale, they are from 1 to, let's say, 3. So some Germans are more direct than others. And I know from according to German standards, some Germans can be very direct, very harsh. And even as a German, I would feel offended. And this is often the case when they voice their anger. And I have to admit, sometimes I do that myself. But I think the difference is I noticed afterwards that this is not correct. I apologize. And some Germans do not notice. They just, can you say burnt out? They just voice their anger. They voice their criticism. They say this is not correct. They behave in an impolite manner in restaurants, to customers, also to clients when something is not according to their expectations. And this is where you should also keep calm. I suggest you should keep calm. You should always ask, can't you say that in a different tone of voice? And it was my intention to do something wrong here. So please, show some respect. And this is also what you can also do. So no one needs to be, impoliteness. You shouldn't bear impoliteness. Can you see the point? But
I see what you're saying now. What's that? Because
our directness might sometimes, according to other culture standard, might seem a little bit polite. And then if it's still voiced in an unemotional tone of voice, you could ask yourself, maybe I shouldn't take it personal, and ask also questions about this matter. Also criticism, feedback is also given often directly, whereas Americans, I've noticed in many other cultures, also give so much positive feedback. And this is not so much the case, unfortunately, when you work with Germans and here in companies.
Mostly here we use what's called the sandwich method. You obviously say great thing at the beginning. How can I make it better? How could I have made it better? Or how could you have made it better? You put it in a nice way, and then you end up with a positive note just to encourage the person. And that's
and we do the in between.
So you jump from the meat. You leave out the bun on top, lettuce, tomatoes, and you go straight to the meat, and that's pretty much it. Now, one thing that I wanted to ask is, do they do that in public? Like, if they want to give feedback, such a feedback, do they take the person aside and talk to
Yeah.
them, or it can be right in the middle of a meeting and they can do this?
Also, people do that, but that is not considered very polite. It
Okay.
depends a little bit on a project. If you're working together, of course, on a project and your colleagues, then you will discuss this with the group.
Mhm.
But when it with customers or anybody else, you're taken aside also.
Okay.
But it also can happen in a group, of course. There was one thing I wanted to add. Yeah. So what happens here in Germany if no one complains? That's perfect. Then you know everything is fine. The project is going well. The product is accepted. You're doing your work fine. So no complaint is good job.
All right. So the hint is, if you have no complaints, you're doing fantastic.
Yes.
If not so much so, you will hear some complaints, right? We agree on that.
Basically.
Or feedback or whatever you want to call them.
Yes.
Okay, well, we have to get ready. If we work with the German, people have to get ready for that. And I do know, because last month I was hired by a German company to work with some expats here in Orlando.
Okay.
And it was actually the first time that I worked with that German company, or at least led by Germans, and I was communicating with Germans. They live in here in the United States, in another state, but actually they're Germans, and the entire staff is Germans, and they do have something with Germany. I noticed, for example, I received texts at 6 a.m. in the morning. And which is not done here. We're not used to people.
What do you mean you received them via email?
Like the company, the lady that I was dealing with in the company, she was in a different time zone. Would receive text at 6 a.m. or would receive text at 8 p.m. To make sure that everything is done the right way and all that. And I do notice that Germans, most of the time, they do seek, I wouldn't say perfection, but they want quality work. They emphasize on quality. So can you talk a little bit about the German and their relationship with quality, to the point where it so much has to be just right and perfect? I mean, there's no...
But maybe I can give you some examples from my private life. That's true. So Germans are used, or let's put it a different way. I own a British car. I love that car very much. It's like an Evoque. It's a Land Rover. And the first thing my German husband does, and the first thing he did when we bought this car was like, that these how can I say that the things didn't match. So there was too much space between, like, the doors, and I'm lacking the words for the car parts, but can you see the points? So according to him, he looked at many details and saw that things didn't match, and said, oh, this is not quality. So we would look at these details, that everything is adjust and fits and matches. And also, for example, housing, when you go to other countries, German people often see that the tiles don't match, that the measures are not correct, that little things, I probably wouldn't notice them, but I know people who do, and they go there. And so maybe that shows the tendency towards quality.
Yes, so I did notice that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just noticed that it has to be okay, and on timely fashion, quality product, quality service. And you cannot, I tell you this, you cannot be late when you have an appointment with German. If you are going to deliver, whether you meet them in person, or you are going to deliver a report or deliver something, it has to be on time.
That's true. Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit that way the audience understand this, because it's so important. You may lose that relationship, you may lose that potential client, you may lose that contact just because you have not, or you did not respond on time. Can you elaborate on that as well?
That's they're very important, especially in business. And as you said, you should be on time, also deliver something on time. And on time means of showing up in meetings on time, or when you have an appointment. And on time means like maybe you can be late for 5 minutes. So there's a few minutes like that you could be late. But more than that, you should call the person, you should explain why you are late. And so there's not much tolerance for not being punctual. And I have noticed that myself. I used to be not the typical German when I was younger. But now working in business, I noticed that I also changed. When people don't show up on time, of course, I can understand now that you waste. That's our way of thinking, that you waste people's time.
Yeah.
But there is a range, of course. There's a range, maybe let's say from 1 being very exact to like 2 or 3 on a scale of 10. And not all the Germans are so punctual, but as we said, as you said, in business, that's a rule that you should follow this.
Maybe.
And I've noticed like people, I had contacts in India, and they showed up late, and I was wondering, because I'm not used to that from, let's say, Americans or Spanish people also. But I've noticed that with Indians and some Asian people. So that's an advice I would give, but that's not.
So time is of the essence. Time is respected. Time is important. Let's move to emotion. How Germans, do they show emotions?
Yes, but not that much in business. So
okay.
And this is where maybe I could go back to what I said initially, because there's this separation between private and professional sphere, and emotions are often reserved for the private sphere, and Germans might come across as a different person in private, because then we can be very emotional. We are very, I think, loyal to people. When we are friends, you will be friends forever. But in business, I wouldn't suggest being very emotional. Sometimes it's difficult when things go wrong, but when you want to get across, be successful, do not show too many emotions. Okay. And do not voice your anger too much. Try to be like more neutral. And you will see when you as I said in the beginning, our cultures do not vary that much. And it's always a good advice to observe people. And when you see that they are more relaxed, that they're also emotional, especially younger people nowadays. So, then you can also be like that and open up a little bit more.
As far as being relaxed and show emotion after a few drinks, will that happen after a few drinks? Or
definitely, that's a different thing. That's a totally different cup of tea. So and this is that's such a wonderful topic. This is what
well, we are here, might as well tell people what it is.
Sorry?
I said we are here, might as well tell people what it is.
Yes.
Right?
So when you work during the day, we might be different than when you go out for a meeting at night or in the evening and have some beers or wine or glasses of wine or whatever. Of course, that loses.
Things change.
Yes, things change, and then we can be different. We are different. I suppose. And this is yeah, that also happens, of course, because Germans love beer, they love a nice glass of wine, love going out, also with business partners.
Okay, okay.
And
What's the
this is when you
prefer?
can become more familiar, going out for dinner. And
Okay, so just as you are mentioning lunch or dinner, what's the preferred meal for business?
that depends on when you meet people. So
Okay,
that's totally, it's I would say both.
both?
So there's not a preference. Yes.
Okay.
So
Flight,
whenever when you meet that, offer, when you invite people to your company, and when you can arrange it.
okay, okay.
Of course, you can drink more alcohol in the evening. You can drink more wine and have a nice glass of wine in the evening.
Things will change.
Sorry?
I said things will change.
Mhm.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, since we are in the topic of the meals and speaking about business, what's the eating etiquette? Like we are in a meal, is there a certain
Mhm.
etiquette people should know about during meals?
Yeah, etiquette is maybe a little bit different, of course. A difference to other cultures. We we use the spoons and the knife and the fork. But what Germans always do, they like to place both of their arms and hands onto their tables. So I know Americans often like place their left arm on their thighs. So they hide it a little bit. That's a slight difference. They tend to sit straight. Yeah, you start also like with appetizers, with drinks, and so the meals or the etiquette is not so much difference, except that maybe what Americans observed observe here, that people, that this thing with the hands, so that you really use both forks and knives, and also use the fork in the left hand.
Okay, and as far as the quantity of food, because I do know that in certain countries you don't eat a lot. How does it go with the Germans?
Like you have a starter, usually you have a main meal and a dessert. It's not a huge amount, but it's always, or you should always, most restaurants, unless it's a very, very quality star restaurant, they serve like courses, or they serve meals that fill you, but that not too much. So
Not too much. Okay.
It's not huge quantities as you sometimes get in the US, but enough to not be starved any after that.
Yeah, it's basically because a lot of parts of Europe, when we're doing business or having business meals, it is advisable not to eat a lot, and the portions are not the same portions also here in the United States. So that's always good to know when you are meeting with a German counterpart. Just observe and follow the clues. Follow the clues on the table, that they'll be, if you don't want to ask, now
you can ask. They probably will ask you also what you would like, if you would like to start with a starter or appetizer, and they will go through the menu with the wine menu, and also ask for your preferences, what drinks you prefer, and also when you can ask always about the dishes, because I know that the different dishes here, unless you go to Italian restaurants, which are also very common in the US, or other things. But if you go to a German restaurant, you could ask what they would suggest. There are some often dishes of the day. I'm not so sure if I use the right word here, but there are the restaurant offers. Then you and in the end, most of the time you have a coffee.
Okay.
So to wake you up after all that wine.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Coffee after wine here, everybody. Coffee after wine. The next thing is I know years ago I was approached by a company who had I don't remember right now, but the manufacturing, I think, company was in Germany, and they wanted to market some product here in the United States, and somebody was talking to me, and then one thing that came out of his mouth, he said, Germans are not so much good in marketing. So they need they need someone in the United States to market this product for them. And when people hear that, I say it's not they're not good in marketing. They have good substantial way of marketing their product, and they are marketing based on quality, based on so many standards that might be different here in the United States. And one thing is for sure, when you are working with Germans or in the German culture, people won't say much about themselves. They won't say much about their product. They won't say much about what they sell, what they make or anything. They let you discover it for yourself. That's what I've noticed. They want, they won't use the techniques or the language or the methods we use here in the United States. They have different ways, and that different way is stemmed or triggered or taken back from the culture that does not talk much about themselves. And it's not like here, you go on social media, for example, and then you scroll and you're seeing people talking about how great they are, about how good they did this and how good they did that. And for Germans, that's more of boasting, that most of arrogance. It's not there in the German culture. That's what I've noticed. So the question, and it will come from you, the question to be answered, how much do the German say or tell others about themselves?
Yes. So when you said we are not good at marketing, I would say we are not good at self-marketing. That's probably true, because as I did in the beginning, I told a little bit about my background, what I do, what I studied, but most Germans probably won't do that much more. When I listen, for example, to podcasts from Americans or from also British people, they elaborate 15 minutes about what they are offering, how great they are, and that is the difference. And with that, sometimes, well, concerning podcasts, we get bored because we want to know what they do, what they want to listen about the topic. And as you said, when you do this too much, it might be that they are arrogant or that they are showing off. But of course, this is also changing with social media. Also, that was when I started social media, that was very difficult for me. And on social media, of course, you have to do that. So people are getting a little bit more used to that. And also there is variation. And here we can see also different maybe between men and women, because I have observed that for men, it's sometimes much easier to do this than for women. And here's also the difference between the cultures of men and women, or female and male cultures. Can you see the point?
Yeah, yes, I can. So the best way, obviously things are changing everywhere in the world, and things are changing in Germany as well. And the best approach in regard to telling about yourself, or going out on social media, or even in a verbal communication, is a balance. Don't go too much talking about yourself, and don't undermine your capabilities either. I mean, just somewhere in the middle will be the best approach.
Yes, and when you know people longer, of course, you find out about them. And as I said, when you talk too much about yourself, we get skeptical. And this is why we need all these certificates, maybe, to show,
Yes,
where we can
yes.
show people, where we can put them on our websites, and where we can prove that they serve as a proof, which we wouldn't tell people. So all the certificates we have collected, and just a little bit here and there, you can just tell about, or you should tell about yourself. You shouldn't make yourself too small, of course.
Of course, of course. Okay, so today you got us a little bit close. I mean, with what you said today and what you shared with us today, anyone can go on and do business with Germans with ease. We spoke about the communication, we spoke about the directness, we spoke about the risk involved, we spoke about table manners, we spoke about so many things that will help anyone watching be confident. Just go out there, be confident, and approach German. They're like other people, they just do things differently, and this is why we're here talking about this subject, because we want to help you get as close as possible to the German culture, or any culture, to make sure that you succeed, to make sure that you are doing the right thing based on their codes, not on your codes. Like we say, when you are in Rome, do as Romans do. So we are showing you the way of how Romans do it. That way you can flourish, you can thrive, and just grow. Last remark, Dr. Beier, do you have any last remarks for us?
Yes, in fact, I have. There's one thing that I observe with many people coming or visiting our country, or like talking to us, and they confuse Bavaria with Germany. And Bavaria is one of the 16 federal states in the very south of Germany. And of course, it's known for their leather pants, and for their dresses, the dirndl, and these big jars or jugs of beer, etc. And many people confuse it with the rest of Germany. And this is what other Germans do not appreciate that much. I mean, we are used to it. But when you broaden your mind a little bit and explore other states, or other federal states and regions of Germany, we appreciate this very much, because it's also a beautiful country. It has many different places. So in the south, the mountains, and in the north, there's the North Sea, and many different places in our small country. So, and Bavaria is also a beautiful place, but it's not the complete Germany.
Very nice. So Dr. Beier is telling you, go and visit Germany.
Yes,
entire country, just not the area of Bavaria. The entire country has a lot to offer. There are two things that you were talking. There are two things that probably we would like to share with the audience. Two things. One is, what industries are there for people to explore in Germany?
Of course, like machinery is very big in Germany, the car industry, electronics. So these are huge industries in Germany, which also offer opportunities, and also especially in these fields, engineers. So we are lacking engineers, people who have technical knowledge. So, and we are looking for people from, or Germany is looking, and many companies is looking for people from these areas, and also the health system. So people who are specialized in health professions.
Health,
okay. So that is probably not so much in the US, but
okay. The other thing, how accepting are Germans?
Sorry?
How accepting of
to people?
Others, of foreigners? Do they accept foreigners easily, or good? I mean, they don't have.
I think so, yes. So because German people love traveling, and I don't think there's any spot in the world that has not been discovered by German. So we are also open to strangers. On the other hand, of course, as in many European countries nowadays, there's some there's some difficulties with racism, but the majority of Germans are very accepting, are very tolerant to foreigners. They're very helpful. We always like it when people ask us about our country, and also we ask them about their countries. And also it's a multicultural countries. We have many foreigners already who live here from other European countries, because we are part of the European Union, and people without work permit can come and work here. So there's always this going back and forth between European countries and also from many other countries, from Turkey, from India. So
okay, very good. That's always good to know. The last one that I forgot to ask, the dress code in business. The dress code. Tell us about the dress code and the brand.
The brand.
Tell us about the dress code and the brand.
I'm not so much into brands, but the dress code is it's always good to show up a little bit formal in the beginning, and then you can adapt your style to the company, because of course there are many company cultures which vary, but in the beginning it's formal. So you have like a shirt, a tie, a suit as a man, and a formal like a blouse and a jacket as a woman. And then later on, when you work here, you can adapt yourself, of course. Or in business meetings, I would suggest more formal is always on the safe side.
Okay. So for women, if they're wearing skirts have to be below knee level, or
not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Be, slightly above knees. So that's what people like to do.
Okay.
But of course it shouldn't be too short. That's the thing. And you do not even have to wear skirts. You can also wear, as a woman, you can wear pants.
Okay. But jacket is
dress.
preferred. Jacket and blouse is nothing showing off here, or right?
Sorry.
Nothing showing off here, just mostly jacket, blouse and jacket.
Yes, exactly. A nice scarf like you're wearing, and
okay, very good. Because I had the reason I asked you about brand is in some cultures, especially a lot of European cultures, they do tend to like brand names, and they're into that club of brand names, but not so much German. As long as you are formal and looking sharp, that's the most important thing. That's all that matters.
You shouldn't show. In fact, you shouldn't show brands too much. So you should.
That's
I know
part of the marketing. The part of the market.
Maybe.
Don't show brand.
Maybe only very tiny labels.
Okay, well, I'll do that. Just be conservative when you are working with German. Be conservative on showing off. Be conservative on so many aspects. I have enjoyed this hour so much, Dr. Beier.
Me too.
So glad that we connected, and you never know, these episodes, these shows, they get aired in different platforms, and they do help people looking or seeking to do business with certain cultures that they're not so much sure how to approach it. And to bring someone from that country is always preferred, because it gives them an idea of who these people are and how do they process information, how do they communicate, and at the end they find out that we're all the same, we just do things differently.
Yes, and we're all humans.
We're all humans from the same family. So I will say, donkey shoot. What is thank you in German again?
Dankeschön. Vielen Dank.
Dankeschön. See, I was close. So I thank you so very much, and I will connect with you very soon on a different subject, hopefully. If you have anything that you would like to say at this moment before we say goodbye, please go ahead and feel free to tell your final statement to our viewers, and say something in German That way they get the feel at the beginning and at the end.
Okay, yes. So I start out in English. So I enjoyed this very much, Mona. Thank you for having me. Es war super schön. Es hat mir sehr gefallen, dieses Interview. And I hope we're gonna meet again. Ich hoffe, dass wir uns nochmal treffen. And yeah, it was such a pleasure. You always can contact me on LinkedIn or my email address. Right now I'm establishing a website, so it's not online, unfortunately. But LinkedIn is fine, email is fine.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Excellent.
ich
And
freue
then
mich sehr auf Nachrichten.
okay. And you are under Dr. Claudia Beier.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
Dr.
Spell
Claudia
the
Beier.
last name for them.
That's Beier.
Okay, that's easy. All right, well, have a wonderful day. Thank you so very much, wherever you are in the world. Until next time, stay safe and stay well and stay connected. Bye for now.
You too. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.